My name is Mike Paul. I'm Vice President of Logistics Services for SupplyCore. In a moment here, I'll explain these three companies and my tie-in. A little sidebar: when I was asked by the Business Council to speak about this topic, and I had the opportunity to look at the names of the people, and I've got the head of the busiest airport in the world, and the head of one of the busiest port authorities in the world, and the head of one of the largest airlines in the world, and me. And so it was a little humbling at first, and then as I put together the presentation, I find myself actually probably a pretty good speaker on behalf of the fact I frequently, both personally and professionally, use all three services that these gentlemen run. So hopefully there'll be some shared enlightenment and generate some good questions. So I'm actually involved with three companies. I work for SupplyCore. SupplyCore is headquartered outside of, just our dry run. There we go. Headquartered outside of Chicago. That's where I live. The second busiest airport in America. And our focus for 25 years has been supply chain and logistics, global, most of it for the U.S. government. About 8 years ago, once there was need for support of the troops, the U.S. troops in the Middle East, we earned a contract in the region and quickly wanted to partner with a local Saudi company, as I'm sure many of you have heard or experienced. That's the best way to get good service and get business accomplished. And the CEO of Arwad, Trading and Establishment, actually went to school in our hometown. We knew him before he started the company. So we partnered with Arwad. And Arwad's specialty is engineered solutions for critical infrastructure needs. Well-timed, given what the kingdom is experiencing now and will continue for probably decades to come. As we partnered to go after contracts for U.S. and Saudi government, we are frequently known as SupplyCore Middle East. So the purpose of this presentation, I will be speaking collectively of all three organizations for which I regularly work, and it just depends on the nature of the business or the contract or the locale that decides which company is the holder of the contract. Our company, through ourselves and through Arwad, we have three warehouses in the United States. In Atlanta, here our largest warehouse is Atlanta, in Kansas City and in Los Angeles, headquartered outside of Chicago in Rockford, Illinois, and we have an office in Charleston. We have extensive presence in Japan, and then throughout the Middle East in Dammam, Riyadh, and Kuwait. We also manage warehouses in Riyadh, Riyadh, Kuwait, and Japan. As a whole, we do have contracts on 5 continents. We've done over $1 billion worth of work. Much of it has been international. So we do a lot of work in America, but in order to both support our troops and do work for the Saudi government, we have quite a bit of international supply and international shipping that's involved. We maintain some level of inventory specifically related to a couple automotive parts contracts. Much of what we do is providing building materials, building supplies for various militaries and industrial customers. In Saudi, we do a lot of stuff with all the ministries, the interior, of defense and aviation, of health, providing power generation and other quite often U.S. manufactured equipment. We do have an active list, SupplyCore does, of 15,000 different suppliers comprising over 500,000 items in an online catalog. And we can, depending on the contract, we can find just about anything anyone needs, from aircraft parts to lumber. From a logistics standpoint, over the course of the last 8 or 9 years, we have done over $200 million worth of shipments to the Middle East and Asia. As you can see, it's about 50-50 split, and we do a variety of ocean and air. So our ocean freight that comes internationally, we do source locally, so not all of our business is shipped from here. But in America, when we have to source something in the U.S. and get it over to Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, it usually consolidates here at our Atlanta warehouse, and depending on the lead time, it's either thrown onto an aircraft at Hartsfield, or it's taken off to Savannah, put on a boat, and shipped over to whatever port is convenient for the final destination. So we've experienced regularly multimodal, so we're used to a combination of modes depending on the location and the time frame. I then want to kind of turn in for those of you that are maybe just now getting into selling some product or supporting some needs over in Saudi Arabia to understand a little bit of the challenges or needs that if you choose to do it yourself, you might want to consider from a logistics standpoint. It's critical that you have relationships with freight forwarder. If it's one or two items or occasional, you just calling up the commercial carriers for the most part can get your product there. But if you're getting into a business where frequent delivery is required or there's sensitivity to those items, it's very important you have relationships with freight forwarders, because information is not, even for us in the business, timely information is not available on the dynamics of the world logistics market. You find out through newspaper articles if there's a problem in the Gulf of Yemen with pirates, or if there's not a problem. You don't get timely information that could affect your decisions. Freight forwarders are the best at that. Negotiation skills are a must, because certainly some of the agencies out there around the world could try to recognize an inexperience and might not give you the best deal. So certainly being able to negotiate and shop around is an important aspect. The network is key. The more you get involved in shipping to a particular region, the more important it is to understand the shipping lines, port authorities, customs requirements, local agents, because you can more reliably commit to delivery dates with your customers. There's a lot of unknowns out there. A lot of things can disrupt it. And the more control you have and the trust and knowledge you have of the players in it, the better off you are. And certainly local partners. If you haven't heard it once here at this forum or last year's forum and haven't experienced, it's certainly true in Saudi Arabia, because there are a variety of different ways to do it, and the local companies there understand the fastest ways. That's really what it comes down to. They know how to get product to the final destination faster than most people that aren't in the country. What are some concerns specific now? This is general, I guess, to the whole area, but I'll hit to a couple concerns that you just want to be aware of at this point in time with global logistics in the Middle East. Obviously, this is a huge year for political and economic terms right now in the Middle East. It affects freight just like everything else. Some of the things we are personally experiencing. Now, we ship product to Jeddah, we ship product to Dammam, we airlift product into Riyadh. We do a variety of different modes depending on what the time need is. Be aware of the Suez Canal. Given some of there's been disruptions this year in Egypt. It's pretty good now. But these disruptions affect delivery times, and you got to have a confidence and comfort with your customer to make them understand there are some things outside of your control. The Arabian Gulf also has some similar concerns that aren't active right now, but you just need to be aware of the dynamics of the entry points for those Gulfs too. Certainly pirates are an active threat. That comes down to information you know of and what's in the news versus what you have to find elsewhere. I just read an article and an interview with the CEO of Maersk, and he's got dozens of captains and workers that are still held by pirates, but it's not in the news. Pirates are a big problem. That's one of the reasons the U.S. maintains a base in Djibouti right there almost at the mouth of the Red Sea, is to keep those shipping lanes safe. You just need to be aware of it. It does have an effect on insurance costs, container deposits, expenses, delays, times. Just be aware and try to find the best option with different forwarders. You got to know the route. Just knowing that you want to get to Jeddah or get to Dammam isn't always enough. Become familiar with the points it's going to stop along the way, because that could affect timeliness, whether there's delays at those ports or political situations. Is it nonstop? How frequently is a nonstop running? It is important to understand that, again, your customer won't be happy if it's late. So as long as you maintain a dialogue with the customer, sometimes things happen you can't control. There are airline rule changes, legal and export issues, sanctions. A lot of things can affect the routes you take. A great thing that we're seeing since we started work in Saudi Arabia is the drastic improvements in infrastructure. It's phenomenal what the building of the airports and expansions and the rail and the roads and support has done to improve the ease at which we ship through the country there. And be aware of the season you're shipping in. There are optimum routes, times of year, given weather, given import-export seasons. If it's grain going one direction, then it might be cheaper on the empty containers coming back. So time is an important factor. That's why you'll see shipping prices vary through year, because it's a supply-demand economic driven economy. And so, you know, you're going to be fighting with other commodities for that space, and you're going to be paying as if you're one of those high-demand commodities. Our experience in Saudi Arabia has actually been very, very good. Among the things we've learned in the supply chain business over there is that if you can find suppliers for the same product in Saudi Arabia versus Dubai, it's cheaper. A lot of that's because of the ease and cost of the ports and supporting the business there. Dubai may have free trade zones, but they're expensive rent, and often it's expensive margin on those products. So if you're fortunate enough that the products you need are also bought in Kuwait or in Saudi, then that's a good place to buy, and it's a good place to set up a distribution hub in that sense. It's become very easy to do business in Saudi Arabia. I think I heard yesterday the 12th easiest in the world, which is just amazing. They have airports at every destination you could want. While it's a fairly sparse country in terms of its development, cities scattered amongst them, there's an airport in every one. You can get there personally, you can get your product there. That makes it easy. You don't have to drive between the major towns if you don't need to. This is not a kiss up to His Excellency, but that's right. Saudi Airlines is the most timely and reliable of the cargo carriers when you're going to Saudi Arabia, and part of it is, I will. If I can steal Saudi Airlines to come to O'Hare rather than Atlanta, then maybe I'll publicize that. Fair enough. Fair. You would have to invest in some de-icing equipment. But it is that's right. Well, it is great in that sense. We've had other major carriers, and they stop along the way, and we've had product lost in Africa and Europe because they're transferring it from one plane to another. You know of it with your luggage. Imagine it with your cargo. It can happen. Getting direct into the country through Saudis, you're going to be your safest bet. Through the sea, we ship to both sides, both the sea and the Gulf. Right now, we are shipping around the south of Africa because of deposit costs on containers and some of the lack of reliability. And this isn't on Saudi side. It's getting held up in pirates if we're going to Dammam or possible. But the insurance companies are forcing a big deposit on the container. So our experience right now has us adding, time, but timeliness to going around the south of Africa. That seems to be our most cost-effective route this year, this month. It varies. It's an unbelievably varying game. Historically, the biggest problem, if any, has been the size limitation of ports, and they've continued to expand, and King Abdullah Economic City is going to be a phenomenal port. And as they continue to expand over there, bigger ships and more ships can come through there. Rail, we're excited about the rail heading north to the Jordan border for getting freight in from the north, because of course you have the Turkish and Jordanian supply routes, and they're working on the GCC route that will be kind of along the south and the east, and it will be literally connecting all 6 countries of the GCC, and that could have very positive impact on cargo transport. Land, the border crossings are fine. We have no problems with them unless our paperwork's not in order, but there's no issues of delays or holdups that are unexpected or unnecessary. And I would say that we have found, local support, both obviously in your local partner, but in Saudization. We've noticed as they've hired more Saudis at the ports, we've actually noticed an improvement. And my CEO's theory is it's just more attention and care for than pride of their own country than maybe they've experienced in the past. And that has helped the transition because they care about the growth and they want the success. I think that's probably it. So I will have a seat and let Robert here demand some questions.
I think our mics here work, yeah. I'm not sure if we have questions from the audience yet. Is there someone there